أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وشفيع قلوبنا وحبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا مولانا أبي القاسم محمد صلى على محمد وأهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن المجيد وفرقان الحميد وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن أكرم عند الله أتقاكم. صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
I know last year in English speeches I perhaps made a fuss about discipline and timekeeping and the rest of it, and I kept getting less than 15 minutes and sometimes less than 10 minutes. But I did not know that the effect of that would be this year, and I'll get routinely, like yesterday and day before and today, extra 5 minutes. So thank you very much for all this. So our quest for learning more about our true and original Islam continues, which is Shia Islam, of course. And the ayat that I have chosen today as the subject heading is the ayat number 13 of the chapter number 49 of Holy Quran, Surah Al-Hujurat. And in this ayat, Allah Ta'ala says, Inna, verily, surely, akramakum indallahi atqakum. The one who is closest to Allah, the most honorable among you in the eyes of Allah, is the one who is most pious among you. Muttaqi. And it's not a coincidence that we call our first leader Imam al-Muttaqiyan. So, like we said yesterday, we started by saying what Muharram means, what word Shia means, what does Shia Islam means, what is its origin, how do we claim that Shia Islam is the true and original Islam, as opposed to the claims or allegations on us that Shia Islam is an invention. We believe Shia Islam is the mainstream original Islam, and others are perhaps some deviations from it. So then we discussed about our first leader, Imam al-Muttaqiyan, Hazrat Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. And today we are going to talk about some of his companions, some of his great Sahabis, and some of his and Rasulullah's great Sahabis. And of course, there would be very few people, and in fact, apart from Ahl Bayt alayhi Islam themselves, there is no more muttaqi than them. And with the limitations of time, it would not be possible to, despite an extra 5 minutes, it would not be possible to talk in detail about any one of them, let alone all of them. But I would like to mention some names at least, especially for the benefit of our youngsters, so that they know that apart from Ahl Bayt, there are the true followers and who have been instrumental in spread of Islam in the world. And again from the beginning, let me make it very, very clear that we are trying to talk about the true and original Islam, which is Shia Islam. And in no way, it's not our intention to belittle any other faith or talk bad about any other faith or say that they are wrong or anything like that at all. We are just trying to talk among us or discuss among us what we believe is the right thing. So with this disclaimer, let's talk first about Sahabi. And let's first see what does the word Sahabi mean. Okay, so the best or most authentic book among Sunni Islam is called, after Quran Pak, is called Bukhari, Sahih Bukhari. They say Badas Kalam Bari, Sahih Bukhari. After the book of Lord, that's the book, Sahih Bukhari. And in that, the definition of Sahabi is anyone who was in the company of Prophet Muhammad or just seen him is a Sahabi. And next, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, like we discussed a couple of nights ago, he is the founder of a faith called Hanbali Islam. And the followers of this Islam are in many countries in the world, especially Saudi Arabia. And he further clarifies that Sahabi is anyone who accompanied the Prophet for a year, for a month, for a day, even an hour, or even just seen him. Okay, so that's Sahabi. So whichever of these definitions, and they are the same really definitions we take, it is clear that Sahabi would have some different standards among themselves. And again, there's not much time or point in going into details, but history clearly tells us that even Khulafai Rashidin, or the first few of them, discriminated among Sahaba. So for example, those people, all Sahabis used to get some scholarship from the Baitul Mal, and those who were the Sahabi who fought in Jang-e-Badr or Ghazwa Badr used to get the highest stipend. Those who accepted Islam later got a little, and there were some gradings and the standards among themselves. So it's not a new thing that I am saying. Sahabis did have some different standards, even according to themselves. So what does make a Sahabi a great Sahabi? Okay, apart from the fact that whenever in the history they accepted Islam, is there any other standard? Well, we just mentioned about taqwa, but let's return back to Quran and see what else Quran tells us. And this is the ayat number 14 of Surah Al-Hujurat again. So the next ayat, the ayat that I recited, is the very next ayat after that. And in that Allah Ta'ala says, Qalatul Arabu Amanna. Qalatul Arabu Amanna. Qul lam tu'minu. Walakin qulu aslamna. Balamma yadkhulul imanu fi qulubikum. So Allah Ta'ala says, Qalat al-Arabu Amanna. These dwellers of the desert, Arabi, they say, we believe. Hum iman laye, we believe. Qul lam tu'minu. Tell them that's not true. You do not believe. You are not a mu'min. You're claiming to be a mu'min, but in fact you are not a mu'min. Walakin qulu aslamna. But just say that we are declaring our Islam. We are Muslims. You are not mu'min, you are Muslims. وَلَمَّا يَدْخُلُ الْإِيمَانُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. And Iman has yet to enter your hearts. It has not even entered your hearts. So it's clear that in the eyes of Quran, there are different stages and standards among Sahabis. And in fact, it also makes it very, very clear that there would have been some Sahabis who would have been Muslims but not Mu'mins. So all the Mu'min Sahabis were both Muslims and Mu'min, but clearly there were some Sahabis who were, yes, Muslims but not Mu'mins. And that's very, very clear, not just from the history but from Quran itself.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
So now let's see and talk about some of the Sahabi who were Mu'min, some Mu'min Sahabi of Rasulullah and Imam Ali alayhi salam. And this is a false propaganda on us, Shia Muslims, that we do not respect Sahabi. On the contrary, we say that our lives be qurban on those Sahabi.
बेशक
And let's mention some of them. Who has not heard of Salman Farsi? We just mentioned a few nights ago, and we'll inshallah mention a bit more about him. Abu Zar Ghafari, Miqdad, Ammar, Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari, Hadith Kisa, famous, but there are many other aspects of Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari, and if time permits, inshallah, we may mention about this as well. Abu Ayyub Ansari, Hudhaifatul Yamani, the person who bore the secret of Rasulullah in his heart. That was, and again, it's a big story, and if time permits, we may mention it another time. Khuzaimah bin Sabit, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, Hajar bin Adi Kandi. And we are more familiar with this name because of the recent events in Syria and Sham, when his grave were dug out and the rest of it. And you know much more details of this than myself. Fadl bin Abbas, Abdullah bin Abbas, Malik Ashtar, Qambar, Fizza, Yasir, Samia. There are so many names that you can just write and you may not even finish the names, and I may have missed so many others as well. And of course I have not mentioned the Hashmis, who are really Ahl Bayt or related to Ahl Bayt. And there are so many of them, including uncles of Rasulullah and the rest of it, and brothers of Imam Ali etc. Our great sixth Imam, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. He once said that there are 10 stages of Iman. So see, they are not just stages among Sahabi or Muslims, but among Mu'mins themselves there are stages. And our sixth Mawla says there are stages, 10 stages in of Iman. Ammar Yasir is there at the 7th stage.
MashaAllah.
And Miqdad is there on the 8th.
Wow.
And Abu Zar Ghafari is there on 9th. And Salman is all of them.
Wow.
All 10 stages.
Wow.
He is such a great moment. And the person, one of the persons who was listening to our sixth Imam, he thought and he became astonished. He said, all 10 stages, Salman? He said, yes, of course. He said, if Salman had all 10 stages of Iman, what about you? What about Ahl Bayt? And Imam says, don't compare companions with Ahl Bayt.
Wow.
The stages of Ahl Bayt start where the stages of companions end.
Nare Haidari.
So again, let me say that this is a false propaganda against us, that we don't respect Ashab, our Jaan, our Mal, our Iman, everything we Qurban on these great Sahabi. And again, let me just mention that according to Quran, according to Hadith, according to the companions themselves, including Khulafai Rashidin, there are stages and differences and standards among all these people. So again, let's talk about some of the great Mu'min Ashab. And the love of Rasulullah and Mawla Muttaqiyan was flourishing in their hearts. I did mention a small story or short story of Hazrat Salman Farsi yesterday, was it, or day before yesterday? And inshallah, if time permits, I'll mention another story towards the end. But let me just mention another story of Salman Farsi. And I mentioned yesterday that Rasulullah said that Salmanu minna Ahl Bayt. Salman is among our Ahl Bayt. So his status was not of just companions, he was beyond that. And this story that I am going to mention is related at Ghazwa Khandaq, the third battle of Islam. So first one was Badr, second was Ahad, the third one was Khandaq. And I'm not going to recite the whole story because it's a very long, very interesting, an excellent story, but unfortunately it's very long and time doesn't permit or allow me to talk in detail about this. I'm just going to mention a bit about Salman Farsi. The many aspects of Salman Farsi, even in Ghazwa Khandaq. For example, the Khandaq itself, the trench itself, was dug on the advice of Salman. So that was the status and the wisdom and the intelligence of Salman. The Rasulullah even Rasulullah respected so much. This particular story is about when the great fighter Amr bin Abdawat, he crossed the trench, came towards Muslims and challenged them. And all Muslims, they got together in the tent of Rasulullah. And Rasulullah was asking who will go and fight, and nobody can. And you know all this story. And then at the end, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said, I will go, and that was accepted and he went. And as Imam Ali alayhi salam was going, Rasulullah said a couple of things. He said that today, the total Iman, the total complete Iman is going to fight against total and complete kufr. And the other thing he said was, whosoever brings me the news of the victory of my brother, I'll give him the news of Jannat. And so far, many people who are afraid to even look out of the tent, they rushed out. As Imam Ali went to fight, they went to follow him. And they tried to get the most prominent place to be able to get the clearest view of the fight so that they can come back. If Hazrat Ali wins the fight, if he wins the fight, they'll come back and tell Rasulullah so that they get Jannat. What did Salman do? He just made an effort to come out of the tent and sit just outside. That's all he did. And the fight was happening a little bit away from the tent. And it happened, and you know the whole story and what happened, and it's again a great story. And at the end, Maulana Muttaqiyan rose the slogan, Nara Takbir Allahu Akbar. And those people who were watching the victory of Maulana Muttaqiyan, they started running towards the tent. The first sight of the first person running towards the tent, Salman went inside the tent, and Rasulullah, who was busy doing the dua for victory of Hazrat Ali, he said, congratulations on the victory of your brother.
Wow, mashallah.
And now these other ashab, they came, and no doubt, obviously, all good intentions and everything. As they entered and shouted the news to Rasulullah, Rasulullah smiled and said, well, Salman has already told me. And they got puzzled. He said, how come? Salman didn't even come. Salman didn't even watch the fight. How does he know? And Salman said, did he not hear Rasulullah what he said?
Wow.
Kulle Iman is going to fight Kulle Kufr. How can it lose? The only question was not of if. The question was when. And I knew it as I saw you coming towards the tent. I knew it has happened. I knew it will happen. But I knew it has happened now. And that was. So, Barak Muhammad wa Muhammad Salawat. Such was the status of Salman that really not comparable to anyone. And let's mention another Sahabi who was Abu Zar Ghafari. And another very strong member of the true and original Islam, Shia Islam. Abu Zar Ghafari originally actually belonged to a tribe which lived on loots and thefts. That was their income. They did not work, they did not go into the farms, they didn't do any work. They looted, they stayed on the ways between Medina and Mecca and Yemen and Sham, and all the trading caravans, they attacked them and looted them. That was their income. Abu Zar Ghafari belonged to that tribe. And just reminds me what our great Maulana Maqbul Ali Sahab was reciting yesterday, that the nazar and the karam of Ahl Bayt can make somebody who was a villain just a minute ago a hero. So Abu Zar Ghafari was a hero, a great hero, one of the most pious person the world has ever seen. And Rasulullah said for him, heaven has not shaded, nor has the earth carried the weight of a person who is more straightforward than Abu Zar. And listen to this, he walks on earth with the immaterialistic attitude of Jesus Christ, the son of Mary.
MashaAllah.
we've talked about Salman, who is on there at the 10th stage. This is Abu Zar Ghafari in the 9th stage. And he is being compared to son of Mary Jesus by Rasulullah himself.
Subhanallah.
And his straightforwardness actually got himself into some troubles later on after the death of Rasulullah. In the days of the third caliph, he used to sit outside the Masjid al-Nabawi and used to tell Muslims the right way, the truth, and the other things. And by that time there were some problems among Muslims which meant that some Muslims didn't like it. And Abu Zar Ghafari became unpopular, let's say, to the government. And he was exiled of Medina, initially to Syria, and he kept doing the same thing. And Amir Muawiyah didn't like him, and he was exiled to a place called Jabal Amal in present-day Lebanon, where he stayed for a few years, and he taught the true religion, the Shia religion and all that. And the result is that the Jabal Amal, even today, is one of the greatest seats of the original Islam. I don't know if many of you have been to Iran and have done ziyarat there, but in the Roza complex of Imam, our 8th Imam, there is a Hurre Amili where Pakistanis and all Indians and all the Urdu majalis happen. That great person, Hurre Amili, belonged to Jabal Amal. Shaheed Awwal belonged to Jabal Amal, and there are many others. And that was all teachings of Abu Zar Ghafari that has still carried on. And Rasulullah said that God has commanded me to love four, and He's informed me that He loves them. And they are Ali, Abu Zar Ghafari, Salman and Mukhtar.
Wow. MashaAllah.
And Ammar Yasir belongs to the family of martyrs, Shohada. His parents were Yasir, Hazrat Yasir and Samia. They were the first martyrs of Islam. And Rasulullah told Ammar that an aggressor party will kill you. And we all know Ammar was Shaheed at Jang-e-Siffin, fighting at an old age, and he still was a commander of one of the big part of Imam Ali's army. And we heard yesterday that Ammar and Malik-e-Ushtar were considered the two arms of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Such was the great status.
Wow.
And Ammar, let's talk about just one sentence about Malik-e-Ushtar. And Rasulullah, Imam Ali said to people about Malik-e-Ushtar that Malik-e-Ushtar to me is like I was to Rasulullah.
Wow.
So it's impossible to even imagine what the status was. Time is ticking on, so I'll just mention very quickly that these were the ashab of Rasulullah and Imam Ali. And I think we are going to today, inshallah, hear from Maulana Sahab about some other ashab of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And what was the status of Sahabs Imam Hussain alayhi salam? Imam Hussain said himself that the standard of Sahaba that I had, neither my grandfather, nor my father, nor my brother had. And they did what they did, and they were all obviously shaheed at Karbala. May Allah give us tawfiq to follow the footsteps of all the Sahaba. And thank you very much for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.